If you're a writer, you know it's essential your hero has a clear goal and someone powerful standing in their way. But I'm not just talking about the villain. In the most compelling stories, the hero's toughest opponent isn't the bad guy with a sneer. It's the one staring back at them in the mirror. From Aristotle to Pixar, great storytellers agree it's the flaw that makes characters unforgettable. In this video, I'll show you 3 powerful keys to design flaws that take your characters from to extraordinary. And I promise you that once you master this technique, your writing will never be the same, unless you're writing grocery lists. I should think those would stay pretty much the same. What's happening, party people? This is James A. Hurst, internationally tolerated screenwriter, story expert, and the one who knocks. This is my channel where I help writers, filmmakers, and other sketchy misfits write the script that writes their future. In this video, I'm going to share 3 powerful keys to designing your hero's flaw, drawing on lessons from Aristotle, John Yorke, and Jill Chamberlain. Plus, I'll break down examples of great character flaws from Bojack Horseman, The Godfather, and Inside Out. And stick around to the end because I'll be sharing my free character building blueprint, The 5 Layers of Compelling Character. Or you can download it now if you're feeling impatient. I'm not here to judge. All right, let's get this done. When I was a kid, it was mandatory to like comics, and I sort of did. I liked Wolverine, Black Panther even back then, and Spider-Man, of course. But honestly, even as a kid, I thought a lot of the writing was pretty corny. Except for one particular issue of Iron Man called Demon in a Bottle. I bought it off the stands and it blew my little mind. It pit our wisecracking billionaire man-child against his greatest foe. Not a galaxy-eating supervillain, but a bottle of hooch. Now, this was 1979 and I was 10, so what did I know from booze? I wouldn't get drunk for at least 2.5 years. But what floored me about Demon in the Bottle was seeing this badass superhero become so weak and fragile. Honestly, this comic is what made me want to be a writer in the first place, and it was Stark's all-too-human flaw that drew me in. Later on in 10th grade English, I learned about Aristotle's idea of the tragic flaw. In the Poetics, the big A says the most powerful stories aren't about heroes destroyed by monsters, but by some human failing, like pride or hubris or losing their mom's recipe for tzatziki. Take Oedipus. His tragic flaw was thinking he could outsmart fate. If you don't know the story, it's the source material for a new sitcom coming to CBS this fall, How I Met Your Mother, who's also my mother. But here's an important nuance. In my system, the 5-layer character builder, I don't use terms like tragic or fatal flaw because they come with a certain baggage. For me, when I think of a tragic flaw, I think of the character Howard in Uncut Gems. Now, full disco, I love this movie, but it's a panic attack in a bag. Uncut Gems is such a bad time for the movies, Netflix had to change the phrase from Netflix and chill to Netflix and text your therapist at 3 a.m. My point, and I do have one, is that I make a distinction between the fatal flaw that afflicts characters like Howard in Uncut Gems and what I call the central flaw, which afflicts most other characters. Let me show you what I mean with one of the most flawed characters in all of TV. Bojack Horseman's central flaw is his self-loathing and constant need for validation. This flaw doesn't get him killed, but it consistently gets in the way of his central goal, which is to make a comeback in show business. The brilliance of Bojack's central flaw is that his self-loathing creates a vicious story cycle. The worse he feels about himself, the more validation he needs, and the more he chases that validation, the more horrible things he does, which makes him feel even worse about himself. Throughout the series, we see how his flaw sabotages his comeback attempts, consistently but unpredictably.
We are rolling.
The most important thing is you gotta give the people what they want, even if it kills you, even if it empties you out until there's nothing left to empty. No matter what happens, no matter how much it hurts, you don't stop dancing and you don't stop smiling, and you give those people what they want.
And action.
Why aren't you dressed for school, Prickly Muffin?
So that's how a strong central flaw can become an engine for endless story possibilities. If you take away one thing from this video, other than this mother lover is funky, it's that your hero's flaw needs to complicate their journey. Which brings us to the first rule of creating a great flaw. Find the weakness that consistently gets in the way of your hero's goal. Have you ever thought it's weird that someone as hyper-brilliant as Tony Stark is so oblivious to his flaw? Or that a character as self-aware as Fleabag can't see the thing wrecking her life? Well, that's because the flaw doesn't show up wearing a villain's cape. It comes dressed as a virtue. In the words of French nobleman and writer François de la Rochefoucauld, our virtues are most frequently but vices disguised. It's only human nature that we mistake our worst qualities for our best, and this is useful for us as writers because the more your hero's flaw looks like a strength to them, the tighter they'll cling to it. According to John Yorke in Into the Woods, the strongest character flaws aren't just random weaknesses. They're strengths pushed so far that they become radioactive. And I can think of no better example of this than Michael Corleone. His goal is to protect his family, and his flaw is cold, ruthless logic, executed with zero emotion. To him, that's not a weakness, it's intelligence. But to people around him, it's terrifying.
Only don't tell me you're innocent. Because it insults my intelligence. It makes me very angry. Now, who approached you? Tatalia or Barzini?
It was Barzini.
Good.
Michael will do anything to protect his family, even if that means murdering family members. This internal contradiction makes Michael utterly compelling. He's a circle which can't be squared, which makes him endlessly fascinating and terrible at geometry.
You come to me on the day of your story's creation, and you ask me for a strong character. But you don't ask me for a flaw. You don't ask me for the thing that wrecks the life of this character and his family, while he swears it's the very thing that's saving him. That's our rule number 2, is to make the flaw look like a virtue. Now let's talk about rule number 3.
Now, some people think that the hero's flaw is something you just paste on at the end of the script, like a personality quirk. But according to story expert Jill Chamberlain, the flaw is the story. In the nutshell technique, Chamberlain says a story only works if the plot is designed to test the flaw in the most brutal crucible imaginable. She calls this the catch, the thing in the plot that forces the hero to confront their core flaw. If your story doesn't have that, she argues, you have a situation, not a story. To show you what I mean, let's look at Inside Out. Joy's flaw, her belief that sadness has no place, is only meaningful because the entire plot is engineered to challenge that misbelief. She's separated from headquarters, she tries everything to get back in control, and nothing works until Joy lets sadness in. It's not just a clever concept, it's a character test. The story is built to expose the exact thing that Joy is wrong about. This is what Chamberlain calls the catch, the thing in the plot that catches your hero in the act of being flawed. The more brutal the catch, the more honest the story. So let's recap our 3 keys. First, your character's weakness needs to block their path to success. Second, this weakness should look like a strength to them. Third, your story should force your character to face their flaw head on. These keys are great in theory, but how do you apply it for your next script? Well, here's a quick test that I do whenever I'm starting a script or story. I get out a piece of paper or open my laptop and I ask myself 3 questions. Would the hero succeed faster without the flaw? If so, it's not really a flaw, it's just a quirk. Does the hero believe the flaw helps them? If yes, they'll fight to keep the flaw, which give your story internal conflict. And 3, can you build your story to confront and break the flaw? Now, this one applies more to features than TV, where we don't want our characters to change too much. But in features, we do want our characters to change. So the question is, can you build your plot to test your hero's flaw and ultimately break them of it? If you can answer all three of these questions, you've got a flaw that is going to make your hero instantly compelling and elevate your script to the top of the pile. So that's it for this video, party people. Don't forget to grab your free PDF, The 5 Layers of Compelling Character. And hey, if this video helped you, would you do me a favor and share this video with other writers? I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and you sharing my video really helps me reach my goal. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I drop the next video in this series all about layer number 4, the misbelief. This is James A. Hurst for Screenwright, reminding you don't need anyone's permission to start creating. Greenlight yourself and start writing the story or script that writes your future. Until next time, be easy, stay awesome, and keep writing.